Again, if you want anything to sit on, a blanket or a block to support your hips, that's great. And the cross-legged seat is wonderful, but if you prefer to kneel, you can always find a kneeling posture. We'll just take a little bit of time here to breathe. So any placement of the hands that feels natural on the knees or in the lap, shoulders balanced. And let your inhalation flow gently through your nose, exhaling likewise through the nose. And feel a little bit of strength from the hips, and then rising up through the torso to sit just a little bit taller through the top of your head. So you can feel that length start from the bottom and rise upwards. Very slowly let your head lean to the right, just letting your ear tilt over toward your shoulder. Just welcoming that initial stretch and that sensation. And as you inhale, you might be able to inflate your lungs a little bit higher into that open side of your neck. It's okay if you're leaning, but try not to lean too far. And just one more deep breath in, again, expanding the open side of your neck, and then roll your head forward. Pause with your chin toward your chest, just kind of looking down toward your legs. Maybe your eyes are closed. And carefully pick your head up, lifting the chest, sitting tall again from the base upwards. Deep breath in. Let your head lean to the left, exhaling slow motion. And when you've got your head settled to the side there, we'll just hang out and breathe. You might find that small movements like you're saying yes, or tiny movements with your chin like you're saying no, might help you to explore a little bit, but the breath is enough for now. And we'll find just one more big inhalation up toward the collarbones. When you exhale, roll your head forward, chin to your chest. And then very carefully from that center mark, we'll lift the chin, lift the head. And we're gonna make a full twist. So before you go, take a deep breath in, lift the chest, turn to your right as you exhale, and just let the arms float around. Bring your right hand on the floor behind you, your left hand to your leg to help you rotate. Staying true to that vertical axis, from the hips to the top of your head, shoulder blades down your back. And again, we're going to let that right ear tilt over toward your right shoulder, and then a little bit behind you. So you're lifting the chin at the same time, and you might grip a little bit stronger with your left arm, thinking about your left elbow moving down toward the floor, your left shoulder kind of heavy away from your jaw. And again, a little bit of yes or a little bit of no with the chin. Relaxing your forehead and your jaw. First, bring your head up to the center. Then we'll let go of the twist. Just let the hands float across the lap to the knees. Pause for a moment. You can wobble a little bit hip to hip, and then we'll sit tall. Deep breath in, right? Turning to your left when you're ready. Exhaling in slow motion. And using the arms at first. Again, stay true to that vertical axis all the way to the top of your head and beyond. It's almost instinctive. You'll let that left ear tilt over toward your shoulder. The right arm a little bit stronger. And your head could lean back just a little bit to the back body, feeling your shoulder blades behind the ribs, pressing the chest a little bit forward. Just one more breath. Jaw moving, chin moving. First, bring your head upright. There's no rush. Then let go of the twist. Breathing in, breathing out. We're going to change the way the legs are crossed. So if it helps you, you can lean back onto your hands and just trade places with the ankles for a moment. Let's float the arms way up and overhead, reaching up through the fingers. Imagine like you were climbing a ladder. So we're going to take the right arm just a little higher and then the left arm a little higher. And apologize, I'm opposite you here, but we'll alternate right and left. And again, feeling that length starting with the hips, right? The base of the spine from the core muscles. And we'll extend just one more time with the right arm and one more time with the left arm. And yes, this is challenging. And we're going to take that right hand over to the floor and just lean long and bend that bottom elbow as the left arm extends through the fingers. Go ahead and look up at your left elbow. We're going to travel rainbow-like up and over. Left hand to the floor, let the elbow bend to cushion, and reaching long, long, long through the fingers. You can look up at your elbow again. We'll inhale up, and just one more time each way. The fingers trace that rainbow all the way across the sky. We'll take it one more to our left. The hips can lean, of course, but you might reach that right hip a little bit closer to the floor. And we'll take the arms both overhead and pause. The hands come together. Trace the midline down to the chest and pause a moment, shoulders balanced. Feel free to bow your head a little bit and even close your eyes. If you'd like to place any dedication or set intention for your time here this morning, or whenever you might be practicing. Personal intention, your own sense of purpose, dedication to the broader expanse of the community, the world at large. And offering one sound of Om as an expression of that inner sentiment. As long as you can feel it, it's loud enough. Take a deep breath in. A deep breath in. And with your exhalation, letting the eyes open, releasing the hands. And we're just going to take the legs out in front for a moment. So then you could lean back and support with the arms a little bit. And we'll just free the knees and the ankles, pointing and flexing the feet a little bit. So notice the effect that that has on the knee joints through the ankles, maybe even up a little bit in the hips. And then we'll keep the feet flexed for a moment and just go side to side with the toes. Feeling that little windshield wiper action. And then just a little bit more specific, we're going to pause in the middle. I want you to slide your right heel up a little bit toward your hips and then tip your foot open to the side. So the outer thigh leans open. And if you can, put a little bit of pressure on that right pinky toe, keeping that foot flush to the floor for a second. You could apply some pressure downward. It's kind of tricky to do. I'm leaning back on my hands, but if you want to challenge yourself, you could pick your hands up and try to sit forward, right? This is a really big deal. Now we're going to lift this right foot up and trying to keep that foot parallel with the floor. We're going to go up and down just a couple of times. And this is kind of weird. You're like, what's the point of all of this? And it'll make sense as we go along. This is just a little mechanism, and we're trying to move from that right hip joint, right? It's kind of awkward for sure. Good, and then yeah, great. I love everybody's got their hands up. Good. Well, we can take the toes down. So bring your leg back to center. The right leg straight. I'm trying to remember I'm opposite you here. So the left knee bends, turn the toes open. So that pinky toe edge, at first you're trying to push it down into the floor. And this is when you press it down, it's going to activate all these muscles in the thigh and really structure that hip joint. And then once it's powerful, we'll lift it up and down. It's almost like this knee is in a cast. I always hesitate when I say things like that because I have, kind of not the best association with casts myself. So we're gonna go up and down. And again, yeah, hands up. You could really be working. All right, this is wonderful. You a great job. We'll come back through. All right. Good. Bring that heel down, toes center. We're gonna lie down. Friends at home, if you're hitting play on the playlist, now is the time. And we'll meet you on our backs here. Pavana Mukhtasana, the upside down child's pose. Knees to the chest. You can grab hold of your shins. And when you hit play on that playlist, the first track is silent, so you won't hear anything right away, but you can watch the numbers moving and you'll know that all is going the right way. And we will rock a little bit side to side on our backs, just to massage. If it's easier to hold the backs of the legs than the shins, that's a great idea too. And very carefully, we'll bring the feet flat down to the floor. And once you've got your feet flat on the floor, we'll take the feet apart in that crooked corpse pose. So walking the feet to the edges of the mat, heel toe, away from each other. And then the knees will lean in together. We're creating this kind of three-dimensional pyramid shape, right? The feet are away from the hips and wide, the knees leaning together. Maybe the thighs touch, maybe not. And then we'll take the arms way out to the side in the big T position. And at first, your palms are facing upwards, letting your head very gently roll from one side to the other, creating a kind of miniature twist for your neck. Though, of course, everything's connected through the spine. So even though it's only local movement of your head, it does have an impact on the whole spine. The next time you have your head turned to the right, please pause. There's no rush getting there. And you might turn your head a little farther to the right by shifting your head slightly to your left. You could bring that right ear a little bit more flush to the floor. And then reach your left arm away from your shoulder, straighten your elbows, spread the fingers. Try to keep your knuckles on the floor and maybe a little bit of pressure, like you're pushing that left hand into the ground, like you're trying to swing the whole arm into the floor. Give it just another deep breath in, and then very carefully return your head to the center. As you exhale, bring your chin to the middle and let your head tilt side to side just a couple of times before eventually you settle over on the left. And again, often you can turn your head a little bit farther to the left if you let your head slide a little bit to the right. And then the right arm takes up its extension in the opposite direction. So again, we're reaching away from the jaw, away from the neck, and spreading the fingers, straightening your elbow. And like you want to swing that right arm through the floor, like you had a magical trap door into the ground. You could open up through the chest. Notice the influence of the shoulder blade underneath your back. One more big breath in. And then returning your head to the center, exhaling carefully. Again, let your head wobble a few times just to bring your head back to the center. And then pause your head so that the legs can take up the action. We'll let the knees tilt a few inches to the right and then come back to the center a few inches to the left. Going a little bit farther to the right, halfway to the floor, and then come back over to the left, halfway to the floor. So these windshield wipers to the knees, to the thighs, right? Keeping the feet wide for the most part. You could lift your toes a little bit. Sometimes there's some footwork for the ankles. And as you continue to move the legs, you could go closer and closer to the floor, maybe even pause on the ground. Whenever you have your knees to the right, try to reach your left leg a little bit farther away from your hips. And whenever you have your knees to the left, try to move that right knee a little bit further forward, a little bit more extension to the lower back. We'll take the legs just one more time each way. Just a natural action. Feel that massaging of the floor and the outer hip muscles. And we'll meet back in the middle. And when you're through, please walk your feet together, heel toe action until they touch. And then once the feet do touch, separate the knees. You can keep your arms where you have them or take the hands down underneath the thighs to offer a little bit of support from below. Press your heels together and squeeze through the buttocks. We're going to arch the lower back ever so slightly off the floor. If you have your arms underneath you or next to you, you can press down in your elbows. You might give a little squeeze between the shoulder blades. Keep the shoulders on the ground, but let the chest rise. And now we're going to imagine we had a single sheet of paper between the feet running vertically. And we're going to lift the right foot, sliding up that sheet of paper, just a few inches off the floor. Big breath in. And when you exhale, lower your right foot next to your left foot down the sheet of paper. And then your left foot is going to slide up the sheet of paper, breathing in. And then exhale to slide your foot down the sheet of paper. And we'll continue to alternate right side and left side. Minimize the leaning, right? It's natural that you'll tip a little bit to the other side from the leg that's lifting, but try to stay centered, balanced on your hips. You could lift your foot a little bit higher, again, trying to move from the hip joint. These are perfect, you all. Just one more time to the right and one more time to the left. This is a kind of uncommon strength from the groin, from the hips, from the lower back. Now let's all take the hands underneath the thighs. So if you don't have them there already, we're gonna press the elbows into the floor and arch the back. So the chest is gonna rise really high and the shoulder blades squeeze together underneath you. Breathing into the abdomen, press your heels together, clamp your toes together, and just one more impulse to squeeze the buttocks. Deep breath in while you squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And when you exhale, you're going to let all of that effort go. Bring your knees together, stand your feet flat, and separate them just about hip distance. Heels could slide in a little closer toward your tush. Our first bridge pose, bend your elbows to that robot style structure. So the fingers are pointing straight up and the elbows hugging into the ribs. Pressing into your heels to lift your hips, and then really press down deep into the elbows. You can rock a little bit side to side, of course, to adjust shoulders. You could move your chin a little side to side to adjust for your neck. And some of you might even lift your head for a second and then put it right back down, getting even more length. Now, rather than lifting so high, dig into your heels and squeeze the glutes again. Try to combine that power with the front of your thighs. Those quadricep muscles and the glutes can work in tandem. Give it one more full breath in. These are amazing, you all. We'll use our exhalation to lower. Use your elbows, those upper arm bones anchored into the floor until the hips finally touch. Beautiful. Once your hips touch the floor, place your palms flat to your thighs. You're going to lift your right foot off the floor and about parallel position with that right calf. So maybe 90 degrees to that right knee, and you're going to push your right hand and your right thigh together. So the right thigh is trying to move toward your chest and your hand says, no, that's far enough. Try to find that right knee directly above the hip socket. Good. Push, push, push with your hand and your thigh, and then press your left foot into the floor for one more big breath in. And when you exhale, you're going to relax all of that effort to put your right foot back on the floor. You might give that right wrist a little twirl. You might have surprised yourself with how much work you were doing. And then we'll go directly to the other side to lift that left foot. Press your left hand against your thigh, the left thigh pressing into your hand, and that left shin about parallel with the floor. Perfect. Flex your ankle, press down in your right foot. And even though the hand and the thigh are pushing against each other, notice the effort in the core. And that's really what we're trying to engage, is that deeper strength to the pelvis. You could very gently arch your lower back as you take a deep breath in. And when you exhale, let your left foot return to the ground. Your robot style arms are going to come right back up to our bridge. Nothing fancy here for just 2 breaths. Press into the heels. You can make any of the earlier adjustments for your shoulders. And then focusing here on keeping your thighs parallel. Really anchor into your elbows for one more breath in. And we'll use our exhalation to lower slow and steady to the ground. This time you're going to lift both feet at the same time, hands to the front of your thighs and push them together. Take a deep breath in. When you exhale, lower both of your feet. Press into your elbows and lift your hips. Full breath in all the way to the top of your bridge. Squeeze through the glutes. we'll use our exhalation to lower, slow and steady. Yeah, you're gonna lift your feet again. Hands push against the thighs, thighs push into the hands, big breath in. And we use our exhalation to lower the feet, anchor the elbows. And we're alternating a few more times up and down. Big breath in to lift the hips. And use your exhalation. You're always lowering something when you breathe out. You're always lifting something when you inhale. The feet come up. You could straighten your heels to the ceiling. And then you'll bend the knees to lower all the way back down, the feet to the floor. You don't have to stay with me by any means, right? Stay with the rhythm of your breathing as you establish that flow, strong from the legs, right? The hands pushing against the thighs is to give you a stronger feeling of that presence of your pelvis on the floor, right? That we could really anchor through the hips. And ultimately, that's what's going to protect the back. So the muscles that we're using to do all this action here are the muscles that can actually take a lot of pressure off of the shoulders, off of the arms and the hands when we're working with our plank poses and our downward dogs. The next time you're up in your bridge pose, we're going to stay there. And here, if you'd like to, you can take the arms underneath you, interlacing fingers. Grabbing the side edges of your yoga mat is a wonderful tactic. And again, digging into the heels like you could guide more pressure to the shoulders, using the friction of your yoga mat to move those shoulder blades toward your hips. Inner thighs parallel, give it one more full breath in. These are amazing, you all. Beautiful poses. We'll come down slowly, release the hands to clear the coast, hips to the ground. And once they touch, we'll lift the feet, grabbing hold of the backs of your thighs, lift your head towards your knees, and at first just rocking a little bit from side to side. I feel the lower back nice and flat. And we're gonna pause here in the center, take your legs toward the ceiling, flexing your ankles though the knees can be bent. Bring your fingertips to the back of your head for a little bit of support, your elbows out wide. We're gonna lower the right leg about halfway to the floor, and then your right arm is gonna move to the opposite side of your left leg, put a little bit of leverage on it, and look over at your left elbow. When you breathe in, lift your leg, bring your hand to the back of your head. Your left leg and your left arm are gonna move. That left arm connects to the thigh for leverage to look at your right elbow. Breathe in to come back to the center. Now you're on your own. Exhale to twist. You can, of course, lower your leg closer to the floor. Just make sure you've got a little bit of extra in the tank. You want to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze your exhalation to the very last drop, and then come back. We're just going to do one more with the right side and one more with the left side. Yeah. Yes, you can bend your knees. Yes, absolutely. Perfect. Good. Last time on the left. And when you're through, bending your knees, feet to the floor, shoulders and head down, arms overhead by your ears. Spread your fingers, press the backs of your hands into the floor. When you lift your hips, last time for your bridge pose, you might need to lift your head for sure this time, gaining even more length to your neck. Make your hands into fists, squeeze your hands strong, and then lift your knuckles just an inch off the floor, the backs of your hands just a little bit off the ground. Straighten your elbows, really strong in your shoulders. One more big breath in as you press into the heels, and we'll exhale the hips all the way down to the floor. Just incredible, you all. Lift the feet, again, hands to the backs of your thighs, head to your knees. We're gonna straighten the legs up and then bend the knees swiftly to rock forward. We're moving all the way to our hands and knees. So if this works for you, you can ride the momentum, cross your ankles and just keep on going up and over. Otherwise, you can sit and more carefully swing the legs around behind you. Walking back onto your mat, most likely necessary for all of us in some way. And with the hands underneath you, the knees underneath you, we'll find our cow pose. Tilting the tail feathers, big breath in. Exhaling the cat pose, chin to your chest. We'll go back and forth a few more times. And of course, if you need a little bit more space, you can always move the hands forward, giving the wrists a little more freedom. Feel the movement to your whole rib cage. up and down between your arms. So just one more cycle, one more breath. And this back and forth rhythm will serve us. So the next time you've got your head lifted, we're going to pause. Curl your toes underneath, bring your hips back to your heels, kind of modifying our child's pose. Walk your hands forward so you can keep the elbows straight, palms pressing firmly, forehead to the floor for just a moment. The shoulders plug back in to their sockets. And now we'll rise up very carefully onto the hands and knees. Somewhat prepared here with your cow pose, looking forward past your hands. Lifting your knees to your downward facing dog. We'll take the hips up and back. Let's give our downward dog a few breaths, just pedaling the feet in place. You can alternate through one heel and then the other, right? Feeling strong through the thighs. So again, I mentioned in our bridge poses that there's something in those bridge poses that's going to apply for us here. So I'll try not to over cue it. We're going to shift forward into plank and then return to our child's pose. Lower the knees and the hips come back to your heels. Right. Now you're going to breathe in and come right back up into your cow pose. And you're going to breathe out as you lift your knees into your downward dog. So let's do that a couple times together. Breathe into plank. Breathe out to child's pose. You're going to come right back up as you breathe in, cow pose. Downward facing dog as you breathe out. Again, notice the back and forth of the action. Let's do one more together, and then I'll give you a challenge. Plank to child's pose. From your child's pose, return to cow, and right back to your downward dog. Now, from your downward dog, move your toes just an inch forward. You're going to shift into plank just like before, only this time when you lower your knees, you're going to let them hover an inch off the ground and return to a kind of floating child's pose. Shift forward into your floating cow pose and come back to downward dog. We're going to do 2 more of those. You don't have to keep your knees floating, right? You can do the original version with the knees on the floor. Plank, move the knees an inch to the floor or all the way down, come back to your child's pose. Cow pose with your knees on the floor or floating. Downward facing dog, use the thigh muscles. Deep strength from the core. One more time, please, on your own. Inhale, plank. Exhaling to the child's pose. Either version. Yeah, amazing, you all. Cow pose, plank pose to your downward dog. From your downward dog, we're going to walk the feet forward all the way up to the hands. We'll meet you in that standing forward fold. Let your head hang. You might give the wrists a little twirl. Rotate around nice and gently. Return your fingertips to the floor, rocking a little bit front to back, heels to toes. The next time you have the pressure in your heels, we'll stay there and straighten the legs somewhat. It's a little bit deeper. Now, keeping the legs just as you have them, keep the heels on the floor and lean forward. Relax your toes, just a little bit more pressure to the ball mounts of your feet, a little bit more to the calves and the hamstrings, I hope. Return the pressure to your heels and bend your knees slightly. We'll take the hands up to the hips and raise the torso. Head first, open the chest, strong through the spine as you come all the way up. Top of your mat, if you're not there already, and we'll join the feet and the hands together in prayer position. And reaching forward and up, big breath in. You could add a little bit of a back bend here. Circle the arms wide as you exhale, taking the fingers all the way to the ground. Just halfway up, you're going to rise into your monkey pose, and then we'll exhale back into the fold. Circle your arms to stand. Way out wide and up, we'll inhale, and the hands together down to your heart. We'll keep on moving, reach forward and up. A little bit of your back bend here at the top, inhale. And your exhalation, taking the arms wide all the way to the floor. Halfway lifting, that breath in just to feel the length, and exhale like you could dive into the floor, catch the return energy rising. Inhale all the way up. Hands to your heart. We'll just do one more of these together. Forward and up, big breath in, feel the shoulder blades lift the heart. Fold it forward, arms wide. Halfway, just to feel the length, into the fold. All the way standing, we'll reach for the sky. Hands to the heart. And from here, we'll take the arms out wide, reaching up to grab your right wrist. Take it high and up to the left. Turn to look toward your right elbow. Inhale to lift to center, switch the arms, up, up, and over to your right. Turn to look at your left elbow. Keep breathing. We'll use the breath in to rise, and the arms wide as you fold, exhaling all the way down. Just halfway up, hands to shins. Step your left foot, then your right foot to plank pose. As you move back 1 foot at a time, we'll hold steady here for just a moment. Level the hips up a little bit higher, even with the shoulders, the legs strong and straight through the knees. We'll lower softly the knees and then the hips to the floor. Good. Elbows stay back, lower your forehead to the ground while you point your toes. Hug the elbows in a little bit closer, let the hands adjust. Firm the thighs to lift your chest, lifting your head. Shoulders stay back from your ears, big breath in. And we'll exhale to lower the abdomen, lower your forehead. Pause for just a moment and lift your hands an inch off the floor. Hug the elbows in a little bit tighter. Raise the head, raise the chest. Just with the back muscles, feel the legs firm. Now add the hands, pressing down to lift higher. Full breath in. And we'll exhale to lower the abdomen. Let's do that one more time. You can put your forehead on the floor or just let it hover for a second. Keep the neck long, lift your hands, firm the thighs, lift the chest and the head again. Now add the arms, big breath in, just a little bit higher. We'll exhale to lower it down, all the way back to your downward dog, toes tucking under, hips up and away. Again, use those thigh muscles, so strong. And we're gonna step the left foot and then the right foot to the top of the mat. Walking or jumping is an option. When you get there, just halfway up, hands to shins. Feel the length of your monkey pose. Exhale to dive into the fold, and then we'll stand all the way up. Inhale to circle the arms high, and the hands come down to the heart. Just like we did before, arms wide, grab your right wrist as you take them overhead. We're moving to the left. Let it happen with your breath. You can look at your right elbow, and then we'll rise and switch. Take it over to your right. You could look toward your left elbow. Really anchor that left foot as you rise to the center, and then we'll fold, arms wide. Halfway up is all, big breath in. Right foot, left foot as you step back to plank. Give it a breath here, looking forward past your hands, and with or without the knees as you exhale to the floor. Cobra pose just the one time. Remember what we worked on with the last set. Good. Downward facing dog will meet you there. Toes tucking, hips high. Just a breath. Right foot, left foot, all the way to the front. You got the pattern, hands to shins, monkey to lift. Into the fold, we'll dive like you could bounce against the floor and then rising all the way up with that return. The hands to the heart. And let's do one more. Arms circle overhead, grab your right wrist. Take it to your left. If you feel like switching it up, that's great. We'll take it over to the other side, whichever way you didn't go yet. From your center, we'll lift and fold. Left foot, right foot, plank pose, we'll step it back. Hold just a breath in. Use your exhalation to lower your cobra. Feeling you want to rise higher, be my guest, right? Don't let me stop you, but make sure you can maintain that space through the lower back. Left foot, right foot, walking, hopping all the way to the front, and halfway when you get there, dive to your fold before you stand. We'll come all the way up. And here, draw it down to the heart and we'll let it rest. And taking the hands to the hips, you're gonna take the thumbs to the front of the pelvis. And And then with the feet closer together for our chair pose, we're just gonna sit down a little bit, and you can use your thumbs to really mark that crease. But we're gonna straighten the legs to stand up, lifting the arms overhead, big breath in. And when you exhale, just lower the arms down and a little bit behind you, shoulders back from your ears. We're gonna rise right up the middle, big breath in, and your exhalation will take you down into that squat. Now we're gonna move both of the arms down to the right, going wide of the hips, and take a look back at your right hand. Follow the midline right up the center as you inhale, down to the left. You can look back at that left hand. Big breath in as you lift through the center, down to your right. Keep the pressure in the heels. These are beautiful, you all. We'll do one more here on the left, and take your time. Finish strong. And we rise all the way up and then into the fold. But again, just halfway rising, full breath in. Your left foot only, stepping back to your low lunge. Put that knee on the floor. Please keep the toes tucked on that back foot. Arms overhead, you can walk it up to your front knee and then lifting to the sky. And opening up through the heart, that right hand is gonna stay in the air. Take your left hand lightly back to the floor. You're gonna end up in a twist. You can turn to look up at your right hand. And give it a full breath in. Exhale your right hand to the ground. Now we're stepping forward. So find your fingertips, lift your knee. You can also straighten the front leg and transfer the pressure, that left foot next to your right foot, hands to your shins when you get there. And then the right foot is stepping back for that second side in your low lunge. Knee to the ground, step it up or directly from the floor. Those arms can reach for the sky. That right leg is extra strong here in the back. Your left hand is gonna stay up, your right hand to the floor. So take your time, that last inch before your hand touches, and then turning to look up at your thumb. Breathing, you can bend that front knee just a little more. Dig into the toes on the back foot. You're gonna lower that left hand. And again, we're stepping forward. So find the fingertips. You can lift the back knee. You can straighten the front leg. And that right foot meets the left foot. Hands to shins, full breath in. Exhale into the fold. Standing tall, we'll circle the arms and the hands together down to your heart. We'll take the arms behind the back. So look at the floor while you join the hands. Hook the thumbs, a strap if you've got one, and we'll reach the arms straight down to the floor. Open the chest and find your chair pose again. So as you sit down into the heels, remember that crease, and then we'll fold forward, arms away from the body, your nose toward your knees, knuckles toward the sky. Looking over to your right side, let your arms swing a little bit to the left. Looking over to your left, let your arms swing a little bit to the right. Lord, let me know if that's too much sun. Good. Come, look to the right one more time. Bend your left knee. See if you can straighten your right leg. Look to the left one more time. Bend your right knee, straightening your left leg. Good. Return to the center, your arms to your body, then release hands to the floor. Your monkey pose, hands to shins. Left foot only, stepping back, high lunge. Keep the toes on both feet straight ahead. Each foot has its own lane, arms up and overhead. Now we are going to circle the arms behind. It might help to look at the floor. Knuckles to the ground and open the heart. Great job. Folding forward, use your thigh as a shelf for your chest, for your shoulder. You can take the knuckles to the air. Looking at your right foot is awesome. Looking at your left foot, that's amazing. Take a deep breath in. Bring your arms to your body first, then release your hands. Downward facing dog. We're going to step back from this one. You can stay in your downward dog or move through the vinyasa. Your plank pose, lowering as one piece or with the knees. Your upward facing dog if you want to substitute for cobra. And we'll come back downward facing dog. Give it a breath. We're going to step the left foot and then the right foot to the top. Again, walking, jumping, also work. Hands to your shins. Right foot stepping back. High lunge. Give yourself the space. You've got time before you stand up, right? The foundation can be tricky. Helps to look down as you bring your arms behind you. And if you're savvy to switch the hands, use the opposite set of knuckles. Heart open, elbows straight. And again, think of your thigh like a shelf for at the very least your shoulder, the outer part of your arm. Knuckles to the sky, looking at your right foot, lift your heel even higher and really activate the arch of your foot. Oh my goodness, people, just beautiful. Bring your arms to your body first, then to the floor. And yes, we're stepping back once again. From your downward dog, we're gonna stay together, plank pose. Lowering knees, hips to the ground, forehead too. Bring your arms behind you, interlacing the fingers as you point your toes. You could alternatively hook your thumbs or again, a strap as a go-between. Firm the thighs, lift the chest. Head up off the floor, just looking down your nose. Stretch the arms straight, reach back through your knuckles. You can lift both of your legs if you're feeling it. Flex the ankles. 2 more breaths. It's okay if the arms are apart. Yeah, you can get lots out of this bow pose variation. We'll lower everything to the ground. You're gonna take your arms out into a great big T on the floor. Turn your head to look over to your right. So your left cheek is on the floor. Rock your heels a little bit side to side so you can bring them closer together. The big toes maybe will touch, maybe not. It's either way is good. And once you feel like you've got your legs, your feet a little bit closer together, we're gonna press down in the tops of the feet. The same way you're pressing down in the feet, firm the thighs, pressing into the floor, and then add a little bit of pressure to your hands and your arms. We're gonna lift the right leg like half locust, a foot or so off the floor, and flex your right ankle. Bend your right knee. And now as you lift your right thigh higher, we're gonna pull the hips off the floor and opening them over to the right side. You can always check in with me if you're unsure. Now, if you've got the space, your right foot is gonna try to reach to the floor behind you over on your left, but also as far away from you as possible. And I'd rather have your leg get as far away from you rather than touch the floor. But take your leg up and very slowly straighten your knee. Try to put your hip down first, then your thigh, then your knee, and then your toes. And when you get there, very carefully, you're gonna turn your head to look over to the left. So the right cheek is on the floor. Anchor the feet, anchor your thighs, press in your palms. You're gonna lift your left leg. Half locust style, flex your ankles strong from the buttocks. Bend your knee to lift your thigh a little bit higher. And then very consciously, that left hip is gonna peel off the floor and pushing that heel over to your right. Try to go as far over to the right and then down to the floor. It never has to touch. You say, I know I'm close to the floor. Where is it? Get it. Okay, good. You're gonna take that left leg high and straight. Strong through the knee. Again, try to lower your hip first, then your thigh, and then your foot. Bring your hands in near your chest, your forehead onto the floor. Rising to all fours, you're just gonna push the floor away. A little bit of cat and cow here. Rounding, just to free the pressure, right? All that you just did on the floor with those half locust twists might let you know what happened here. When you're looking forward in your cow, we're gonna find an open twist to the right. Let the right arm swing out and up. Take a big breath in. When you exhale, lower your right hand just where it was on the floor, and then your left arm coming out to the side. Look up at your left thumb. Turn your belly button to the left. And then take your left hand back to the floor. Just one more time, we're gonna lift the right arm. And instead of looking at your thumb, look toward the front of your space, right? Like you're doing more cow pose. And then that right hand back to the floor. Left arm out to the side. And again, you can look at your thumb first, then look forward. Tip your head back a little more. Deep pressure in that right hand. And we'll take the left hand back to the ground. Downward facing dog. Walk the hands forward if that gives you space. Tuck the toes under. And we'll rock back to lift the knees, to lift the hips. Now, bring the toes just a little bit forward. Lift both of your heels. We're gonna take an open twist using the legs. So the right leg is gonna come back and up. Open the hips on that right side, bend your knee. Now, of course, we're not going to the floor with that foot, but just pretend like you could with what you just did. Take your right foot back to the floor carefully, close the hips, right? Watch the core movement from the waist. The left leg is gonna go into the air, back and up. Bend your knee. These are beautiful, you all. You can push that heel far over toward the windows if you're here with me, right? Turn the belly button to the left and then close the hips, your left foot to the ground. Everybody please plank pose. And then we're returning to your downward dog. Please bring your right leg back and up into the sky. Bend your right knee and shift it forward toward your right elbow. We're gonna shift halfway into plank, breathing in. When you extend your leg, downward facing dog. When you exhale, that right knee is gonna move over toward your left elbow, halfway to plank. Let's do one more on each side. That right leg to the sky, right knee to right elbow. You can certainly watch and say, I'm so close to touching. And that right knee to your left elbow. Now, last one here, I promise, that right leg to the sky. And this is gonna look like pigeon, okay? But it's not quite. The right knee is gonna go toward your wrist and then your shin over to the left. Walk your hands out wide, walk your left leg back. Now, you don't have to go very close to the floor here because what we're gonna focus on is the strength in the hips. But everything else looks like pigeon. And we're gonna take the hands on either side. Some of you might be able to lift your hands prayer position, and that's awesome. But what I'm gonna ask you to do here is push your left thigh into the floor like you're gonna drag it forward. You're gonna hug this right leg into the floor like you're squeezing it back. And it's gonna look something like this, right? You don't need to do what I just showed you, but that's the action that you're trying to perform through the pelvis. And you can do this when you exhale, full in through the nose, and you, right? And you'll feel this drawing up through the pelvis. Can you feel, right? And that's all that we're really going after right now, right? Because we're gonna see this later. Some of you might do it with that back knee bent. Whoa. Okay, walk the hands forward. The back leg is gonna walk up to free the space. The right leg could go into the sky or directly back to your downward dog. I'm gonna leave that to you. I'm sweating. I don't know what you're doing. The left leg to the sky. Open it up, that left knee toward your left elbow. Big breath in when you take it back to your downward dog. And then exhale your knee toward that right elbow coming across. You don't have to shift all the way into plank. Right? That sometimes is a little too far forward. Last time to that right elbow. They're amazing, you all. And the next time you have that left leg lifted, you're going into your mock pigeon. The knee toward that wrist, your shin across the mat. Walk the right leg back, but again, it doesn't have to be too far, and you certainly do not have to lift your hands. The scissoring action comes from the groin associated with that pelvic floor, the diaphragm, and your breathing. So it's, again, when you exhale, it's as if you could scissor everything in, right? You're drawing from the inner groin and everything comes up, right? And so that if you feel, you're like, oh my gosh. And you know, on the extreme case, it might even make you feel a little nauseous, right? Because so much is going on around the stomach here, the digestive system. It's so internal, right? Okay, plenty. Walk it forward. All right, my friends, we're gonna step it back, downward facing dog. Yeah, you can take that left leg to the sky. My goodness. It's right foot, left foot coming all the way to the top. If we want to maintain our pattern, you could tiptoe, you could jump, hands to shins, feel the length, big breath in, exhale into your fold, and we're gonna stand. Full breath, hands to the heart and down to your heart. All right, let it go. If you have a block, you might make use of it here. Somewhere in the front. Yeah, sip of water, great idea. If you have two blocks, oh, I lost my mic. If you have two blocks, you could place them in the top, but one is all you really need. Again, hands at the hips, remember that crease that we found earlier. And this is our figure 4 in the squat. So the right foot is gonna lift and placing that ankle across your left thigh. You can point your knee down, and then lowering into the squat, stay on that left heel. And at some point, your hands can go to the blocks or down to the floor. But don't forget about that crease, right? Don't lose that movement of the hips back. The more you rock into your left heel, the more you'll find freedom to do a little bit of cow pose, opening the chest and broadening the collarbones. And that should deepen that pigeon quality in the right hip as well. Now, if you want to fold deeper, you could lower your head down. You could even squat a little deeper, lifting your left heel. But my goodness, that would be, something else. Now we're going to come back up. So move first that left foot flat. Your hands can go to prayer, and trust that left heel will stand up slowly. The right knee up. And if you're still with it, give a little kick out through that heel. Oh, you people are amazing. That was awesome. Lower it down, arms resting, breathing. So our figure 4 will go directly to the second side here. The hands at the heart helps to find a point in front of you, that drishti, something not moving, and your left ankle on that thigh. It's good to do while that right leg is straight. And then you can sink. Trust the heel. You could line up your tailbone, the center of your ankle. Hands to the ground or to your blocks at some point. And keeping that left foot flexed is a great idea. Relaxing the toes on your standing foot, also a great idea. Cow pose, open the chest. Yeah, you'll feel it in that hip when it strikes the right chord. So beautiful, you all. Stay true to the breath. If you went deeper into the squat, come on back up. Hands to the heart or out to the side, whatever is going to give you the balance that you need. If you're rising all the way, that left knee up to the chest and a little kick through that heel. Yeah, great job. Let the arms release. Fantastic, you all. Good. We're going to take the blocks away. Keep them handy though. You might like to have them. Let's find the top of the mat and we'll join the hands. Big lifting as you inhale with that back bend. Circle the arms, exhaling to the fold. Step your left foot back. We'll take warrior 1 here, the heel to the ground, arms up and overhead. And looking to the fingers, straighten your right leg, turn to the left side, the hands to the hips. Pivot your right foot in, prasarita, padottanasana, looking up as you breathe in, elbows back, chest high, and then we'll fold forward. Exhale your hands down to the floor. And with a little support from your hands, we'll bend the right knee, shifting to the right side. Straighten your left leg and really clamp the left foot flat to the floor. Leaning to the hands just a little bit as you bend your left knee, straightening your right leg. And you could look over at your right foot. So as you press the right foot down, don't let the arch collapse, right? Keep the inner ankle strong. One more time, the left knee bending, the right knee bending. You can go side to side a couple more times on your own. You might not need the hands so much. You're able to keep the pressure back in the heels. Will help tremendously. And from your center, we'll take the hands to the hips. Standing tall, the head first, shoulders back. And we're finding warrior 2. So the right foot turning out to the front, arms out level, shoulder height, and the right knee bending. Let's take it nice and level. Now, side angle, we're going to keep it high. Your forearm on top of your thigh. The left arm can go vertical or extending on the angle by your ear. Tipping your right forearm to the inner thigh, push that right arm out into the thigh, clamp your right thigh in onto your forearm. So there's just a little bit of resistance. And again, we're trying to source that power at the hip, at the groin. And that was part of what we started with. Your left hand all the way to the floor. Lift your back heel so you're in the runner's lunge and we're twisting again. Your right arm up to the sky. Beautiful. Give it another big breath in. Exhale your right hand to the floor and we're stepping forward. So as you straighten the front leg, that left foot can shift all the way to the top. Monkey pose will take hands to shins. Stepping your right foot back, anchor the heel. This is warrior one. Arms up and overhead. Looking to the fingers to challenge your balance, straighten your left leg. Turn to the right side, hands to your hips. Your left foot's gonna pivot inward. Good. Looking up as you inhale, and we'll fold forward, exhaling all the way to the ground. And slide the heels in so the toes can turn out a little bit. You're gonna bend your right knee and shift to the right. When you straighten your left leg, tilt the toes toward the ceiling, dancing a little jig. You can balance on the back of your heel. And then plant that left foot as you switch sides. The right foot can dance a little jig, maybe even spreading the pinky toes. Now, moving from side to side, you might find that as you get the hang of it, you don't need your hands anymore, and you can bring them in prayer position in front of your chest. As you transfer side to side, if your knees are feeling okay, right, you might be able to keep your hips on a rail, which means that you don't let your hips pop up when you pass through the midline, right? As you cross the center, the hips stay on that maybe 2-foot level. Okay, I see you. One more to the right, one more to the left, and we'll call it good. I always find my feet start to slide a little wider and wider every time I go from one side. So when you get back to the middle, you might bring your feet a little bit closer in together. And we're standing, hands at the hips. Nice long spine as you open up. This is warrior two. Your left foot is going to turn to the front. Let the arms float level. Your left knee bending. Side angle your forearm to your thigh. Keep it on the high side. Right arm by your ear if you're going to that edge. Your forearm on the inner thigh pushing out and the thigh clamping in. And chest stays open. Big breath in. Exhale your right hand to the floor, and we're twisting. That back heel can lift. Your left arm for the sky. One more full breath. Lowering as you exhale. And again, we're stepping forward. Right foot to meet the left foot. Standing all the way up. We're going to circle the arms. Inhale for the sky. And the hands together down to your heart. All right, please take your hands and release. Step your feet apart with the toes pointing out. This is something that's called Anp breathing. And this is a precursor to the Nauli Kriya. So we're going to take the feet are in this kind of V shape. You're kind of sitting in a wide squat. You're going to take your hands flat against your thighs. Very much the pressure that we started with, when we were doing those little leg lifts, So as you push down, the shoulders are going to creep up in your ears, and it's all okay to round the back and everything. Lean forward so that when you breathe in, gravity pulls your abdomen toward the floor. And when you exhale, you're resisting gravity pulling your abdomen back toward your spine. So you're just breathing naturally, nothing too fancy. On the inhalation, you're relaxing the pressure on your hands. On your exhalation, you're pushing into the thighs with a little bit more gusto. And that's going to help you contract the inner abdomen, the groin muscles and everything. Now, the tendency when we're doing this is that the chest or the abdomen, one or the other, will move first. And what we're trying to do is move everything at the same time toward the back body. When we exhale, when we inhale, everything shifts forward, chest and abdomen at the same time. So in other words, we're trying to stay perfectly uniform with the contraction on our exhalation and perfectly uniform with our expansion on the inhalation. Just 2 more breaths. And what I'd like for you to try to do is elongate your exhalation. So if your inhalation takes 4 counts, your exhalation might take 6 or 8. Last one. But now we'll rise up slowly. We're going to squat down. You can keep the heels down or lift the heels. We're going to lower the hands to the floor. Now, the arms between the thighs clamp the legs on the elbows. So I'm trying to keep my palms flat. And again, the heels could be up. That'll give you a little bit more access. And you push the elbows out into the thighs, and the thighs clamp in on the elbows. We are going to crow, but I'm just giving you all the little build-up tips here. Right now, as you lean forward, the peak of the elbow, that elbow point, can move right into that little crease at the knees. That's one of my bigger tips. As you rock front to back, and I'll give you the profile, right? Keep your chin up, keep your chest open, and maybe just squeezing the thighs, the elbows pushing out and the thighs squeezing in is enough. And we don't want to catch too much momentum if we are going to lift the feet, because we don't want to let ourselves tip too far forward. And using that inner thigh muscles to squeeze in, right? This is one variation. The other variation is where you put your knees into your armpits, and it's a little bit more like your tripod headstand. However, you're using the same Anp exhalation to lift your feet. And, you know, it really does come from that feeling of floating up through the pelvis. The same thing we were doing in our pigeon, right? That inner contraction to the groin and the pelvic floor when you draw in. You're right there. I mean, that's perfect. Good. We're gonna sit down. If you've said, okay, this was fun, Thomas, but I'm good. So go ahead and we'll lower to our tush, and the legs out in front. The knees bouncing a little bit. Windshield wipers, a lot of times the knees, the ankles get a little bit tense there. So this is often, when we feel a lot of pressure in the joints, it's often a call for us to just be a little bit more intentional with how we engage the floor. So just a word there. The feet flexed and the knees can stay bent. We'll circle the arms up here. Paschimottanasana, big lift through the fingers as you breathe in. And our exhalation will take us out and over the legs. Head towards your knees. You're very welcome to straighten your legs here. Flatten the knees to the floor, all good. Just gonna stay for about a minute. Which when we're breathing slowly is not that long. Two more breaths. Keeping the thighs parallel, the legs long. The next time you exhale, we'll reach forward a little farther with the fingers and then carry that length all the way up as you inhale. Hands together and to your heart. And we'll move to our backs, so let the hips slide forward a little bit. Grab your thighs, grab your shins, whatever feels right. Bring the knees to the chest. Rocking a little bit. And as we get settled here on the floor, happy baby, we're going to bring the hands to the big toes. And we'll stay true to the form here for just a moment. The knees bent about 90 degrees, moving toward your shoulders, toward your armpits. And let your hands pull down a little bit. Let your legs push up a little bit. Attempting to elongate the spine by lifting the chest. Right? Keep the back of your head on the floor, maybe a little bit of pressure. If you want to go deeper, straightening your right leg out to the side, bring your left heel in a little bit toward your hips. And very carefully, we're going to switch that. So bring the right leg in first, and then take your left leg out. And you will have opportunity to do both in just a moment, but steady the balance even on the hips. There's that tendency to tilt a little bit. And then we'll bring the left leg in. And of course, once you bring that left leg in, you can return to the original position, or you can take both legs straight. In taking both legs straight, you might reposition your hands to your calves or your thighs or inner hips. We'll bring it back in nice and carefully, bending the knees, the legs together. Good. Bring your head up toward your knees. Just take a moment to settle the back. Bring both of your hands to your right leg. Extend your left leg out and down to the floor. Like you're doing half of the happy baby, we're just going to bring that right knee out to the side. Lower your shoulders and your head. And now moving into your twist, we're going to bring that right leg across the body over to the left. Your right arm is going to roll out to the side, anchoring the shoulders. For safety's sake, your right foot can rest on your left thigh. If you want to take it deeper, hook your big toe behind your thigh and press them together. Your foot pushing into your thigh pushing straight into the top of your foot. Keeping the shoulders on the ground, let the chest rise a little bit. So there's a kind of back bend element to your twist here. And once you've found the workings of that through the back and the strength along the spine, you don't have to keep your foot pushing on your thigh for any extra. One more breath. Let your left hand give you a boost. You're going to inhale, slowly rolling to your back, knees to your chest, your head toward your knees. Take the right leg out slowly to the ground. And like you're opening back up to your happy baby, just let that left leg drift open to the left. And then as you move to the twist, lower your head, catch your knee with the right hand, your left arm off to the side. And again, for safety's sake, that left foot could rest on the right thigh. Good. Hook your big toe behind. Just another breath. Your right hand is going to give you a little boost. You're inhaling as you pick up your knees to the chest. One last happy baby. You could reach for the toes once again. You could stay with the original or make modifications. If there's something else that's calling your name, one more bridge pose, one more little twist, whatever it is, or you're ready for Shavasana. You don't need your happy baby, you're ready. We'll meet you there. You could return full circle to where we started, the crooked corpse pose, the knees together, the feet wide, or the original, the legs straight toward the corners of your mat. In both cases, you might have your arms out to the side, palms facing upwards. Or if you prefer to keep your hands on your body, one hand on your abdomen, one hand near the collarbones. And of course, if you're feeling a little cool, cover up with a blanket. Put your sweatshirt on, your socks. Arms open to free the chest, relax the hips from your lower back through the inner thighs, all the way down to the ankles and the arches. Feeling a similar release from the base of your skull, down the back of your neck, out across the shoulders, down through the arms. Softening all the muscles of your face, your chin, your jaw, a gentleness to your lips and even your tongue. Relaxing your cheeks, softening the muscles around your eyes, the sides of your head and your temples. Relaxing the muscles across your forehead. The sense that as you let go from the very top of your head, feeling of your entire being very much alive, and at the same time, very deeply at rest. allowing your body to remain still, returning your awareness to your breathing. Very simple movement of your inhalations and your exhalations. Just like blinking, your body knows how to breathe. The same intelligence that digests your food. It knows exactly what to do with all these yoga poses, all these various movements. Notice the ground, the floor, and the earth supporting you from below. Noticing the air and the sky, your breath, the walls, the ceiling, that beautiful blue overhead. Feeling yourself at home and complete throughout your body. Feeling at home and complete on this magnificent earth. As you expand your inhalations, feeling a little stronger with your exhalations, visualizing that flow through your legs into your feet, and helping to wiggle your toes as if breathing them awake. In similar fashion, breathing through your arms into your hands, wiggling the fingers as if you could inflate them from the inside out. Brushing your thumbs past your fingerprints, noticing the textures. Simple movements to roll your head side to side and imagine your breath flowing to the top of your head, into your hair, and beyond. If it feels right with some bigger movement, stretch the arms overhead. Big wake up stretch. You might climb that ladder. Right arm, left arm in extension. Legs straight, toes pointing and flexing in opposite extension. Just whatever feels right. We'll carefully bring the knees back into the heart, giving the legs a hug, maybe a little prayer of appreciation for your body, all of its amazing abilities. We'll make our way to sitting. You can roll to one side and then using the strength in your arms to rise up, or you can catch the momentum, rocking front to back. And of course, anything you might like to sit on, you're welcome to do so. We'll just be here for a moment, joining the hands at the heart. Closing, recalling any dedication, any intention, and extending that out into the rest of your day, the week ahead. Additionally, acknowledging within yourself and within one another that which is peace, that is joy, that is love, and that is light, residing inside of this space with both the knowledge and the experience that we are one with all things. And just one sound of Om we can sing, a full breath in. Om. Deep breath. And to that light, we bow. Namaste. Thank you all so very much. Thank you. Friends at home, thank you so much. If you have any questions, let me know. Take your time. Have a great rest of your vernal equinox, right? All right.
Thanks,